Welcome to Meet Me in the Middle, Understanding Your Introvert, Extrovert, or Ambivert Partner. My name is Eva, and I will be discussing the introvert and extrovert spectrum with you today, and how you and your partner, if you find yourself on opposite ends of the spectrum, can work together to create a balance between differing personality needs and to ensure a happy and healthy relationship. First, I would like for you to understand that this part of our personality, this introvert extrovert spectrum personality trait, this is just part of our personalities. And this part of our personality deals largely with our socialization needs, how we get our energy, and then also it affects our communication tendencies. So, with that being said, I would like for each of you, if you are not quite sure where you lay on the introvert and extrovert spectrum, to scan this QR code and then answer the questions and tally up your true, false answers. So you're going to pause the video now and do that. Now that you have tallied up your true false responses, I'm going to help you understand what they mean. So if you responded more true to these statements and questions, then chances are you're more of an introvert. If you responded more false, then chances are you're an extrovert. And if by chance you had a blend of true false, then chances are you're an ambivert, and there is such a thing. And sometimes introverts can go more into the ambivert area, and extroverts can go more into the ambivert area as well. So why is it even important for us to understand where we lay on this scale? First of all, it can be very freeing. Our society has changed a lot since the 1900s, the early 1900s. And so this extrovert ideal became expected. And so if you find yourself more of an introvert, this presentation can help you understand yourself a little bit better. And it can also open up an opportunity for you and your partner to communicate about your needs and your preferences and learn about how each of you differs and your communication tendencies. So that way you can have a healthier, happier relationship. So we can see in this slide that the extroverts and the introverts have very different socialization needs, and the way that they interact in social settings is very different as well. So our extroverts are going to desire more external stimuli. They're going to want more activities in their life, and they're going to want to engage more with people. That's where they get their energy. Whereas our introverts, they actually become more energy depleted as they engage in a lot of activities or with a lot of people. That can be quite overwhelming for them. And so we see that these differing personalities need different things, and as couples, we have to learn how to navigate that difference and work better together with each other. So marriage and family therapist Marty and Michael Laney, they wrote a book called The Introvert and Extrovert and Love. And they actually point out that because these personality types have different temperaments, their reactions to life situations and events and even conversation is going to be very different. Our introverts tend to want to take a minute, pause, and think things through, whereas our extroverts tend to want to jump into action and then later reflect on that action. So this can largely impact our relationships. Furthermore, this difference can cause couples to maybe feel like they don't have as many things in common. The extrovert might feel like they're constantly having to push their introverted partner to go do things or to get out or to engage. simply because their personality is a little bit different. And the introvert might be thinking, well, what's wrong with staying home? Why can't we stay home more? I'm not necessarily comfortable with all of these social settings. There are a lot of activities within a day. It can be quite draining. So just understanding that can be very helpful. And then we add into that our communication styles. As you begin to communicate with each other about your needs, please be aware that these differences in no way communicate greater or lesser value between the two personality traits. But they're quite different. So our introverts, if they were asked the question, what do you want to do? What would you prefer to eat? What do you think about? They're going to want to pause and process this question and their thoughts before they respond, which can be quite aggravating sometimes for the extrovert who tends to think faster and process things more quickly, and maybe is a little more talkative and willing to engage right away, whereas the introvert is still trying to process what's been asked and what they think and feel. So they might prefer a slower paced conversation. And this can really affect relationships when there is a need to have a crucial conversation to talk about something that has been bothering us or going on. And so, for example, if you have an extroverted partner, they might want to engage in this conversation immediately. But say that the introverted partner comes home from work and the extroverted partner has been thinking about this conversation they want to have. The best way for them to try and engage in this needed conversation when their partner gets home from work is to acknowledge, hey, I'm sure you've had a pretty busy day. You've been at work all day. I do want to talk to you about something, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time to kind of recuperate from your day, and then I'd like for us to talk about, and you can even tell them what the topic is, our weekend, our plans for the weekend, and then they have time to kind of think about that topic and what you want to discuss so that they can come to this conversation ready to engage and converse with you rather than sitting quietly and listening more because they might be pretty exhausted or they might be thinking through what you're telling them. And if you try and push through these conversations and have them before the introvert is ready, then it might cause you some feelings of frustration and aggravation as the extrovert who thinks more quickly and wants to talk about it right now. So we can see here the need to be respectful of one another's differences. And before we end, I want to point out to you equifinality. And this is the idea that there are many ways to accomplish one purpose. We can see in these two different pictures that these people are completing a race. Their goal is to finish the race, and there are different modes of doing that, just as you and your partner have different ways of engaging. So Lainey and Lainey point out that learning our different styles are biologically and chemically based immediately reduces shame, blame, and guilt. So the next time you find yourself puzzled by your partner's behavior, ask them to help you understand their actions or refer back to what you've learned here in this presentation about your differing personality traits. And above all, seek for understanding and compassion towards your partner to allow you to increase acceptance of one another for a healthier relationship outcome.